This week on True Crime Travelers. Saving up for a van, starting a blog, and hitting the open roads of the USA. That sounds like an adventure of a lifetime. But imagine living in a shoebox while simultaneously trying to start a new business, spend money wisely, and manage your mental health. That can get stressful. But the worst case scenario of a road trip with your fiance is that you break up on the road and decide to go your separate ways, right? That's the worst thing that can happen, right? But what if the journey takes a darker turn? What if one of you comes home with the van and the other is never seen again? Welcome to True Crime Travelers, where we investigate suspicious murders and disappearances around the world, but from a traveler's perspective. We are Alexa and Amelia, award-winning travel experts and the authors behind the Solo Girls Travel Guide book series. We are obsessed with safety and true crime, but I promise we're not here to scare you. We're here to prepare you. Hi, Em.
Hi.
Cheers.
Cheers. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Rainier, the beer of my people.
The beer.
You're going to have Rainier in 6 weeks when you come here to stay with me in Seattle. And
I'm so excited.
I know. And then we are just going to be true crime traveling for like a month. We're just going to be obsessed with these cases.
What a perfect place to be obsessed with true crime. Washington.
The capital of serial killers. Well,
amen.
Today, I'm going to be taking you elsewhere, outside of Washington. We are going to be going to Florida. Wait, this case actually takes place in quite a few places because it's a road trip case. So let me just get right into it. It was a bright August afternoon in 2021 when a concerned citizen dialed 911 in Moab, Utah. The 911 caller said, "Hey, we're driving by and I'd like to report a domestic dispute. A gentleman was slapping a girl. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off." The dispatcher said, "Can you describe the vehicle and their direction of travel?" The caller said, "It's a white van with Florida plates. They're headed north into Arches National Park." The urgency in the caller's voice was much more urgent than mine just now, but it underscored the seriousness of the situation. Police quickly located the van near the entrance of Arches National Park and initiated a traffic stop. Little did anyone know, this 911 call would be the first public clue in a tragic mystery that gripped the nation. This is a case that haunts me to this day. This is the case of Gabby Petito and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. Emmy, you know that I love dash cam videos, right?
Oh, I know.
This dash cam, body cam, police cam footage of Brian and Gabby being pulled over in Moab, Utah, it's an hour long, and yes, I've watched it all multiple times. And what we see in this video tells a very concerning story. When the lights are illuminated, you see the van swerve and hit the curb. And you're like, what is going on in that van? They do the stop and they see that there are two very young adults in the car. There's Gabby Petito, 22, and her fiance, Brian Laundrie, 23. So this couple, they're this young engaged couple, and they're off on a cross-country road trip documenting their travels on social media. Gabby was this petite blonde, really sweet, really kind, and she has this youthful innocence to her. And I get the sense she was on this journey to find herself. And she was finding herself through her new passion, which was travel blogging. And Brian, on the other hand, he seems like, whereas Gabby could be, you know, I don't know, prom queen or something, Brian seems like this goofy, shy, polite guy who's like balding at 23. I think so.
How long have they been together? I mean, if they were traveling, they were probably something serious.
Yeah, exactly. So the two of them, they met in high school in New York, but Brian's family moved to Florida. And Brian was like, I'm going to move to Florida to be with my family. And Gabby was like, well, I'm going to come with you. So she did. So Gabby was living in Florida with Brian and his parents. And apparently it was going really well. Like Gabby was really close with Brian's family. They treated her like a daughter. And then in July 2020, after they'd been together for 15 months officially, Brian proposes to Gabby.
At 22?
That's it. Thank you.
Come on.
I know. And her dad wanted her to slow down. But, yeah.
Obviously.
Okay. So yeah, they were moving fast. YOLO. Who cares? The two of them, they got jobs and they started saving up for a big adventure. The two of them posted a video together on YouTube announcing that they were going to start this big cross-country road trip. In the clip's caption, they wrote, "We both decided that we wanted to downsize our lives and travel full-time." And as usual, you guys, you can go to truecrimetravelers.com and find every episode that we cover, and you can find all of the links that we talk about in that episode, truecrimetravelers.com. So they, quote unquote, handcrafted their own 2012 Ford Transit Connect. So they took this van and they made it like van life. So before they left, they put up a video on their website of the inside of their van. So you go in the van, and in this video that you can see, and immediately there is like place for storage on both sides. There is a fold-out table where you can prepare your meals. And then there is a bed in the back. And Gabby has really decorated this place. There is like even a place for fresh flowers. So when they find wildflowers, she can put fresh flowers in there. So it was really thoughtfully designed. But, the thing with Gabby is that she needed cleanliness and organization. For Gabby, everything had to have its place. And that is, as you can imagine, a lot easier said than done in such a tiny space. Like keep it clean for a weekend, sure. But keep it clean for a busy week on the road when you're tracking dirt inside, where you're not near a place you can dump your trash, and that stuff will start to wear on you. Even for me, who's like, I'm clean, but I mean, you know me.
I know you.
When we go hotels together, do you want to explain what our hotel room looks like? It's like half and half.
Yeah, usually, you can you could like easily draw a line in the middle of the room and be like,
hey,
okay,
at least I respect
you could
your
easily
space.
guess who's. Yeah, you do. That's true. So like my side, I'm like the freaky kind of person who would like possibly even unpack my backpack, even if it's just for a weekend, and like just like put everything organized on the table, on my like bedside table. And Lex's room is like a bomb just like landed, like towels on the floor, and like her backpack's exploded open. But I mean, it doesn't mean like you're dirty or disorganized. You always know where your things are. You're just living your vacation life. I was just going to
say that. That's
organized chaos.
Organized chaos. Gabby was not organized chaos. Gabby was more clean and tidy, but to an extent that it really stressed her out. Organization was key for Gabby.
Dude, like living with a boy, with a man is not always that easy, Imagine living with a guy. And like when you're 30 something, obviously like you're more of an adult. But when you're 22, like you're living with a guy at 22 and
you're right.
Guys at 22 are not very mature. Man boy.
And you're both also learning life skills. But hey, Gabby, what I really like about Gabby is that even if she is stressing, she's always choosing. She always wants to choose to be optimistic. And that is what's like so sparkly and special about Gabby. So they set off on this road trip with total optimism. And Gabby documents it all. She really is good on social media. And some people are just annoying to watch. But Gabby, you just felt like you were with her. She's so unfiltered, or so it would seem. So she would show you guys like, off on their road trip, doing yoga in the morning, frolicking on the beach, and pitching a tent outside when they found a nice spot. They'd switch from the van to the tent. And Brian could be seen being very chill, like usually reading a book, playing guitar, doing art, or just being contemplative in general. And then they'd pack up, move to the next adventure. It looked really peaceful. Their first stop from Blue Point, New York, was Monument Rocks National Landmark in Kansas. Things are going well. On July 8th, they are in Colorado Springs, Colorado. July 10th, the Great Sand Dunes of Colorado. There's all these photos and TikToks and YouTubes, and Gabby was posting almost daily. showing herself cooking in the van, just showing their life. And it just looked so great. It looked amazing. Then on July 16th, Zion National Park in Utah. And July 21st, Bryce Canyon National Park nearby. So they're hitting all these parks, okay? Then after 24 days living together in the van, they're in Mystic Hot Springs, Utah. So the beginning of this seems like it's going really well. Gabby is dealing with her anxiety and OCD. Okay. Brian, he also struggles with his mental health, but he's finding, the open road nice. However, as we just discussed, the romantic allure started kind of fading. And these challenges of living in close quarters seemingly began to take a toll. But of course, we'd never see that online because you never know what happens when the cameras are off. You would never know that Gabby's nights were actually filled with fighting, arguing, and crying. Okay. On August 12th, the couple had been on the road for nearly 5 weeks when they go to Moab, Utah. Moab, Utah is a renowned destination for van lifers. The scenery is unreal with its red rock formations, expansive desert landscapes, and hiking galore. And this place is also just very friendly to van lifers. They know van lifers. This is a place that caters to van lifers, so it's great. However, that is the day that this 911 call comes in because Gabby and Brian are having this very public physical argument outside this little grocery store in Moab. And thank God for body cam footage. So this call happens, that traffic stop is initiated, they make contact, and the body cam footage captures the moment that Officer Eric Pratt and Officer Daniel Robbins find a very visibly distressed and crying Gabby sitting in the passenger seat. Brian is behind the wheel, calm and composed. And the officers, they do what they would normally do in a domestic dispute. They separate Brian and Gabby so they can get individual accounts of what's happening. Were they fighting? Did Brian really hit Gabby? They want to know. So on the body cam footage, the way it's spliced together in this one video, I really like. Here, maybe I should show you. Let me find it so I can put you into the scene. And then True Crime Travelers, you guys can see this on our website. I will leave all the links for all these things. Emmy, when I say that Gabby is distraught, just kind of scroll through this hour and 17 long video.
I was going to say, this is an hour long.
It is. So just kind of hover and maybe go to minute 2 to go to 2:31. At this time, the police, they pull Gabby back towards their car. And she's wearing these cute little shorts, cute little top. She seems, like, oh, everything should be fine, except the look on her face is just exhaustion and crying.
You want to tell me what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some days I have really bad OCD.
Oh my God, she looks like she hasn't talked to anyone about this.
Oh my God, you're right.
Days.
She looks like she's not like that. The police officer is like the first person that she's really telling the truth to.
Yeah.
Her bottom lip is like quivering.
Yeah.
She just needs a freaking hug. However, I'm going to say something controversial, and I have been kind of nervous to take this stance because it's not the stance I want to take, but to be objective, I do want to say that we are going to see in this body cam footage that Gabby, it's not like we're dealing with Brian, who is completely the monster, and Gabby is completely the victim. It actually sounds like a very toxic relationship both ways. So I don't want to stray from that and pretend that that's not happening. But I also want to say that Gabby is 21 and she is doing the best she can with the life lessons or life skills that she has. We should all remember who we were at 21 when I continue through this. So Gabby is crying. And on this body cam footage, they're saying what happened? What happened to you? And she says, I'm going to quote, "We've been fighting this morning. I have OCD and sometimes I get really frustrated. I was trying to work on my blog and I just couldn't handle it." The officers then, they go, there's Brian having an interview as well. And the body cam goes over to Brian. And the officers notice scratches on Brian's face and arms. And they ask him about it.
Oh.
And his account was a clear attempt to kind of de-escalate the situation. And he's like, no, nothing, And then the officers pushed. And Brian admitted that Gabby had scratched him. So Brian's quote is, "We've just been fighting all morning. She gets worked up sometimes, and I try to distance myself from her. She hit me first, and I pushed her away to keep her from hitting me again." So apparently, outside this grocery store, Gabby was freaking out. She was really stressed. She was spiraling in a stress spiral. Brian, I think at some point, he locked the car doors to get away from Gabby, and there was she climbed in the car, and then they chased each other, and it turned into this spectacle. And I can tell you, though, that if this is happening in public, it's happening a lot worse in private.
Oh, absolutely.
So, these cops have separated the two of them. And Gabby is in the back of the cop car in the air conditioning, just kind of calming down. So the police officers, they let Gabby calm down. And they've identified now that technically Gabby committed domestic assault against Brian.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want to press charges against Gabby. No one wants to press charges against Gabby. So the officers, in an attempt to get her out of this, they go around to the car and they say, "Gabby, we're going to ask you a question. I want you to think very, very carefully about the answer to this." They said, "When you hit him or pushed him or whatever, did you mean to cause physical harm to Brian?" "No," she says, "no." So the cops are almost relieved that they don't have to arrest her. The police conclude that this incident is a mental health crisis rather than a criminal matter. Despite the scratches on Brian's face and Gabby admitting to hitting him first, the officers, they decide not to press charges. If it was a domestic abuse case, the officers would be obligated to press charges. So they're just trying to say hey, this is just a mental health thing. They are we're going to separate you guys for the night, which I think is also a good idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just let them drive
absolutely.
off. Right. So Gabby stays with the van and they want Brian to go to a hotel. And Gabby is I've never been with the van alone. I don't really know how to handle it. So she's this is super stressful for Gabby. She's not hell yeah, I get a night by myself. She's I don't know what to do. This is all just horrible for Gabby. So they spend the night apart but they don't tell anyone about this. So this video, right? This comes out way down the road. This is kind of the preview. This is the prequel to what is about to happen. No one on social media knows this has happened. Okay. 7 days after the incident, 7 days after they separated, got back together, it seemed on social media at least that it was life as usual. But then things take a suspicious turn. Now, this is the info that we also didn't have when this was unraveling. So this is, again, behind the scenes. This is what we know now. According to an unsealed warrant, on August 27th, 2021, Nicole Schmidt, Gabby's mom, received a strange text from her daughter's phone. And just FYI, Gabby and her mom were in contact nearly every day. So she knows how her daughter texts. And Gabby's message said, "Can you help Stan? Stan is her grandfather. I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." And that was unusual because Gabby didn't refer to her grandfather as Stan. That's weird. Next, Gabby texted that she was "Hey, we're in Yosemite and I don't have service." And her mom is just "Okay, they're in, that Stan thing was weird. Maybe she's being silly and they're in Yosemite and they don't have service. Fine. They leave her be. But then a few days pass and Gabby didn't resurface. She didn't call back. That, turns out, would be the last text that Gabby's mom ever gets from Gabby.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Following this date, Gabby's phone became inactive and she stopped posting on social media, which was not normal for Gabby. We know this. So as the days went by with no messages from Gabby, Gabby's mom and Gabby's mom's husband, who was a second dad to Gabby, they start growing suspicious and they start talking to each other and they're "Wait a second, Yosemite? Gabby was never planning to go to Yosemite. That's not right. They were planning to go to Yellowstone in Wyoming." Most alarming, though, is that her parents were she stopped posting on social media. She's trying to build a business on social media. So the parents banded together. So parents, I mean, Gabby and Gabby's dad. On September 1st, a significant development occurred. Brian Laundrie returned to his parents' home in Northport, Florida, driving the white Ford Transit van the couple had been traveling in. But Brian arrived alone. Brian drove to Florida without Gabby. He offers no explanation for Gabby's absence and refuses to speak to her family or the authorities. So, Emmy, that's on September 1st. On September 11th, 13 days after the last text from Gabby's phone, finally, Gabby's mom walks into the police station to report Gabby missing.
That's a lot of days.
That's a lot of days. Why did they wait?
I don't know. I mean, maybe they were like really in denial. Like they don't have any signal. She'll message us back.
Yeah, but that's like 13 days? I mean,
It's a lot.
there is no like conspiracy here that like her parents were involved. There's nothing like that. But Brian's return alone obviously raised immediate questions. Why was he back without Gabby? Where was she? And instead of providing answers, they refused to speak. Gabby's family were desperately seeking answers, and they were met with a wall of silence from everyone in the Laundrie family. And the parents directed all their inquiries to their lawyer, being like, oh, just talk to our lawyer. And it's like, your fiance is literally missing. Like, why wouldn't you be helping? But now...
Wait, can I, like, the last name is like Laundrie, like laundry?
Yeah, like, well, it's spelled Laundrie. Laundrie.
Oh,
French or something, I don't know.
okay.
So, yeah, but it's not laundry. So we're like, why aren't you guys helping? Why, if Brian's home and Gabby's not, why aren't you helping? And now we know why they weren't helping. Plot twist. Newly unsealed documents show that Brian Laundrie, before he arrived home on September 1st, Brian Laundrie's parents got a call, actually an exchange of frantic phone calls, as their son told them that his fiancée, Gabby Petito, was quote unquote gone. And he needs his parents to find him a lawyer as he drove back home without her in the van that she owns.
What does he mean gone?
What does he mean?
If she just left, why would he need a lawyer? This is suspicious.
This is suspicious. I notice that when I edit videos that I often repeat you. I don't know why. I like the things you say. Okay, so anyways, the family was not talking to the police because they knew something bad had happened to her. And instead of reporting it, they helped their son like evade whatever was going on. So Gabby's family went through, weeks of silence. And Gabby's mom, she eventually put together a Facebook page called Find Gabby. And this is where this case is really unique. It's one of the first cases that we've ever seen have such a media storm. TikTok is like, it blew this case up. Gabby went viral. The entire country was looking for Gabby. And like I said, I remember like waking up and like reading it every morning. And it was like, Gabby Petito became like America's little sister and they needed to find her. And Brian officially became a person of interest. So by now,
Obviously.
so by now the whole US is thinking, Gabby's missing. That's all we know is Gabby's missing. And then on September 15th is when the body cam footage goes public. Once that body cam footage goes public, now the entire case was something that everyone could look at and scrutinize and pick apart. And internet sleuths went wild. So now all these internet sleuths, they have more than just a missing girl. Now they have a missing girl, a 911 call, and they have this video that they can scrutinize. So I'm going to jump in and scrutinize this video a little bit more. So the cops, are asking Gabby, what's going on? And Gabby says, this is a quote, "I was just cleaning and straightening the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean. Sometimes I have OCD, and sometimes I just get really frustrated." And then she goes on and then she says, and he just doesn't believe that I can do any of this. And she gets really upset. She gets so upset when she says that. Like everything else she's explaining. But then when she says, and he doesn't believe that I can do any of this, she crumbles. So to me, that is like, this is where they're fighting. This is where they're fighting, is that she wants to be great and she doesn't feel like he's supporting her. So the public were used to seeing Gabby as like this bubbly, carefree girl, but now they're seeing a very different image of Gabby. She is a wreck. She's a puddle of emotion. Meanwhile, the cops are with Brian. So they're with Gabby and she's like, I have OCD and I'm so upset. And then they're with Brian and you saw he's very calm. And Brian says to the police, this is a quote, I told her, let's just take a breather and calm down for a minute. And then he discloses that the scratch on his eye is because she hit him in the face with a phone. And this video was scrutinized over and over again because in this video, it seems like the cops are getting too buddy-buddy with Brian. And people are like, they're just siding with him because he's a man. But listen, here's my honest take on this. Brian, during this police stop, he remained really calm and clearly uncomfortable with scratch marks on his face. Gabby cried and she admitted to hitting him. So from the cops' perspective, I'm just going to take a minute and just put myself in their shoes. From the cops' perspective, Brian seems like the really chill one and Gabby seems like the crazy one. But wait, there's more. Because when the cops asked Gabby about her marks on her body, she blamed herself. She was like, I was trying to get in the car and his backpack got me. And she denied that I know. And she denied that he ever hit her. But she says, I hit him first. I slapped him in the face.
First, that means there was a comeback.
Yes, correct. So that is what we saw outside of this grocery store. But she hit him first. And once you hit someone, if they hit you back, it's defense. Right? So she's saying, I hit him first. I slapped him in the face.
Yeah, I guess so. You're right.
Right. But you're right, though, because the 911 caller said that he hit her. So that's kind of the problem, too, is like the 911 caller didn't say that Brian just, pushed her to get away from her, that he was hitting her. So I don't know why the police didn't look into that or didn't take that more seriously. I just think at this point, the police are explaining to Brian that Brian is now the victim of domestic abuse. Brian laughs because he thinks that's funny. Like, he's like, no, I'm not. This is just probably what we do. And what I think that most people on the internet don't understand is they're saying, these police, like, they didn't do enough. Then their next step would have been to arrest Gabby, not to arrest Brian. They would have been arresting Gabby. And that would have been so distressing to Gabby. It would have been so upsetting. So they did what they thought was best. They separated them. And, it's not like Gabby's 17. They couldn't call her parents. So if you ask me, I'm just going to put that out there. I think they did the right thing with the information that they had. With the information that they had at the moment, because the plot twists keep coming. So all the while, right, Brian has returned to his family's home on September 1st. We all assume that Brian Laundrie is holed up in his parents' house. Protesters gather outside the Laundrie home. They are demanding answers and justice for Gabby. Where is Gabby? Tell us the truth. They're all outside this house, media and protesters now. But under the Fifth Amendment in the US, you do not have to incriminate yourself. So for all we know, we had the wrong guy and he was practicing his rights until they found Gabby. Okay? So
is that like the innocent until proven guilty?
Yes, it is.
It's just like, it's interesting to me because in Mexico, like I've said so before here in True Crime Travelers, it's the opposite.
I know.
In Mexico, it's guilty until proven innocent.
Which is dangerous, but if they had just been able to detain him, we would have saved ourselves a lot of trouble here because, so here's what happened, right? Is that, they're outside the house. Brian, tell us where Gabby is. But guess what? Brian wasn't there. Hey witches, before we continue, I have a quick favor to ask, and I've got something for you in return. Emilia and I are on a mission to reach more travel besties who, like you, are obsessed with travel and true crime, but we need your help to do it. If you could pause this podcast for just 30 seconds, click on the True Crime Travelers logo and leave us a review, it would really help True Crime Travelers grow. And here's the fun part. After you leave your review, slide into our DMs on TikTok or Instagram @True Crime Travelers and tell us that you reviewed. You'll be entered to win some amazing prizes, like True Crime Travelers tote bags and stickers, free memberships, and even trip planning or pep talk calls with me and Amelia. The biggest prize, though, friendship. We are seriously so excited to get to know you guys one-on-one. We can't wait to put faces to listeners, so DM us and let us know you're here and let us know you reviewed. Okay, that's all. Love you. Back to the case. Bye.
Where was he?
Well, on September 13th, according to Brian's parents, Brian allegedly went for a hike in the nearby Carlton Reserve, which is 24,000 acres and the size of Manhattan.
I have no idea what like acres look like.
This is a wildlife sanctuary, basically, with like snakes and alligators and wild boar. This is a very, very dangerous place for a person to go for a hike. And with a straight face, the parent said, "Oh, our son, who has a missing fiance, who is a person of interest, he's just gone hiking and he hasn't returned."
Come on.
So, at this point, Brian is now a missing person too.
Come on. He's not missing. He's playing the victim. He's probably on the run by now.
He's not missing. He's on the run. He's on the run. So now we have both Gabby missing and Brian on the run. A massive search operation was launched in the sprawling wilderness of the Carlton Reserve, but Brian remained elusive. As days turned into weeks, frustration and suspicion mounted. And it's just so frustrating because it's like, you guys had him. He was right there. You could have taken him. But now, a simple arrest, we have an entire search that is taxpayer money, by the way. So if the police suck, then the internet sleuths have to come in and save the day. Shout out to our sleuths. On our website, where we discuss the cases and you can see comments, you can see tips, we break down each case, each episode on our website. Go to truecrimetravelers.com and make sure that you sign up for our totally free newsletter, where you are going to get updates on all of these cases, including this one, directly in your inbox.
So we can sleuth together.
We can sleuth together. So the internet sleuths, they get to work. They start sleuthing. And there's a documentary I really love. I think it was on Peacock, and they were kind of interviewing these sleuths because, again, this case was amazing in terms of like social media help. So in this one case, there's this woman, she's digging through all of Gabby's photos and zooming in and geotagging things and piecing things together. And then there's another group that they're looking at Google Images near Jackson Hole where Gabby went missing and all this kind of stuff. And everyone's looking. But then the internet sleuths, they start pointing out red flags and clues, and they start helping us paint a better picture of what is going on. So, you remember how the van is very important? Like, it's very important that the van stays clean.
Mm-hmm.
During the video.
The body cam one?
Yes. During the body cam video, internet sleuths point out that how dirty the back of the van was. And when I saw this video clip of how bad the back of the van was, I gasped. It looked like a U-Haul, like moving someone from state to state. It was bad. Oh my gosh, let me see if I can find it.
Wait, what's a U-Haul?
A U-Haul it's a company. It's actually the name of the company, but it's like big moving vans. So like, you just shove things in. You can rent it for as low as $19.99 within the city. $19.99 an hour? I don't know.
U-Haul.
Petito, Gabby Petito.
Get it.
Messy van. Yep. Oh, okay. Literally got it. I'm going to send this to you.
And I imagine like all these internet sleuths have been like following their journey. It's probably like their followers, like following their band life dream turned into true crime sleuths trying to find where Gabby was.
True. So many people were like, "Oh, I love her. I'm so dedicated to her. And I love like waking up and I love seeing what she's doing." And then they wake up and they're like, "Wait a minute, she's gone." So there were people that really knew her life and that could be like, "Hey, that's not right." Okay, look at this photo I just sent you on WhatsApp. This is before and after. This is like social media van versus body cam van.
That is not right.
So
that doesn't look like
it's their van.
They're both living in there.
It's their van, though. This is it. Like, so on the left photo that you see, this is what they showed on Instagram. On the right, it is utter chaos. Even I would go crazy in that van, and I'm okay. Yeah. I would go crazy in that van. Another thing that was pointed out from the sleuths during this traffic stop is that at one point, the police say to Brian, like, where's your phone? He goes, oh, I don't have a phone. You're like, what? You know? And then 10 minutes later, he pulls out his phone and he starts using it.
Come on.
Why wouldn't the police, first of all, why is he hiding the phone? Why wouldn't the police be like, wait, what the fuck, guy? Okay. I'm going to keep rolling because there's more. Another thing that was discovered was that after Brian returned on September 1st, his parents took him on a camping trip.
What?
Yeah. So some people are like, okay, his parents took him on a camping trip and now he's in the Carlton Reserve. Some people say that his family, they were like planning to help him escape.
Oh, they smuggled him.
They smuggled him because, listen to this, then his mother drove his car home.
Oh, come on.
So the media was like, oh my gosh, here comes Brian's like little Mustang in the driveway. He must be home. And he didn't. He wasn't home.
Like they help him hide. It cannot be anything else.
No. And so I actually haven't looked up to see if Brian's parents have been charged with anything, but you're helping a fugitive at this point.
You're an accessory.
Even if it's your child. Okay, and then, Emmy, the clue of all clues I have saved for last. This is the clue that busted the case open, that is so creepy and so eerie and so icky. At the same time that Gabby and Brian were traveling around Grand-Teton National Park, another YouTube family that was traveling in a big bus because they had dogs and 2 kids is this family called the Bethunes, Bethune, the Bethunes. And they're from Tampa, like Brian, they're Florida people. And they're vlogging their entire adventure. So when this whole Gabby thing came out, they were like, hey, wait a minute. Like, we were in that area at the same time they were. And then they were like, hey, wait a minute. We have a dash cam on our bus. Let's check it for signs of Gabby and Brian. And also, they were like, that van looks familiar. Did we see that van? So they knew that they were going to go through their footage and look for that van on this day in this place. The Bethunes pull up their footage, and it shows them going down this desolate road in the middle of nowhere. Trees totally surrounding them, and then an open field on the left, and then the trees narrow again, and it kind of gets a little bit more tucked away. And then you see it. You see a white van in the distance, and it is backed into kind of like a pull-off on the side, and almost like a little cove where it backed in between these trees, looking like they wanted privacy. But I will say, as an experienced car camper, it's not the place that I would have chosen to camp. It's not like, it's literally on the side of the road. Why was it there? So, Emmy, I'm going to send you this YouTube video. And True Crime Travelers, you can literally follow along with what we're watching. So you can watch this Bethune video in the Gabby episode blog at truecrimetravelers.com. Okay, Emmy, are you ready to watch this video?
I am ready.
Okay. Go to 35 seconds. You see that as they approach, the Bethunes approach the van, there's one back door of the van open. And then there is a very eerie moment. As the bus approaches, you see a hand reach out and pull the back door closed.
This really gave me the creeps.
I know, it gives me the creeps. So why was he there? It's not a camping spot. Why was he there? However, doesn't matter. It was this tip that allowed police to pinpoint where the van was. And that is the clue that helped them start their grid search. So I'm just going to recap because this, is kind of a crazy timeline. So I'm just going to recap what's happened. July 2nd, 2021, the road trip begins. August 24th is Gabby's last call to her father. He was helping her set up her email for her website. August 25th is the last Instagram post on Gabby's Instagram. And get this, Emmy, the Instagram post was weird. It was of Gabby holding a pumpkin, and the caption says, "Happy Halloween." But it's in August.
Yeah, it's in the middle of August.
And she didn't use any hashtags, and she loves to use hashtags.
It's fake. Fake news.
So who posted it?
Brian.
Brian posted it. So that would tell me that on August 25th is Gabby's last post. And then on August 27th, this bus comes down and they see him close the door. It is of my belief that Gabby was dead by then. Was Gabby in the van? Had he already gotten rid of her body? I don't know. But then that strange text on August 30th comes from Gabby's phone where she calls her grandfather Stan. September 1st, Brian returns home. September 11th, Gabby was reported missing. September 15th, we have the body cam footage. In the midst of that, on September 13th, Brian decides to go hiking, allegedly. And then on September 19th, a significant breakthrough in the case. Human remains matching Gabby's description were discovered in a remote area of the Teton National Forest in Wyoming. An autopsy confirmed it was Gabby, and they ruled that her death was homicide by strangulation and throttling.
What's throttling?
Let me look it up real quick.
Define
You gonna read it to me? Vamos.
Yeah. Throttling. Attack or kill someone by choking or strangling them.
Yeah. So it's not just like strangulation with like a shoelace. It's like strangulation with your hands.
Yeah. Like choking,
Do you know how long it takes to strangle someone to death?
No.
Google it again. I
thought you were going to tell me. I was scared. I was like, why do you know?
I thought I was going to tell you too. And I'm like, wait a minute. But I want to say it's like 7 minutes.
Dude, I think like my Google is going to flag me after asking this. How long does it take to choke someone?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry I'm making you Google this.
It takes just 11 pounds of pressure to cut off blood flow.
Ew.
Temporary or permanent brain damage can occur in as little as 30 seconds.
Ugh.
Brain death can occur in 4 to 5 minutes.
Okay, 4 to 5 minutes. You have to hold someone with your hands, watching their life leave their eyes for 4 to 5 minutes. How could he do this?
It says here, a person can die within 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay, fine. Let's say 3 to 4. Gabby was his fiance. He loved her. He had known her since high school. She is like a precious little bird. She's like the tiniest, cutest, little sweetest thing. How the hell could someone, and I think this is why this case got so crazy, because it's like this little girl looks like everyone's little sister. Like, how do you do this to any human being, let alone your fiance, let alone this really defenseless, precious girl?
Yeah, just psycho.
Psycho. So the case is now officially a homicide investigation. The campsite and the surrounding area where they found Gabby became a focal point for forensic investigators. They meticulously searched for additional clues that could provide any insight into what happened. They collected all of this evidence, like DNA samples, footprints, forensic data that could link Brian Laundrie to the crime. Although, you know, we all can assume, right? We could all assume it's Brian, but maybe Brian's defense would come back and say they got in a fight. She demanded to get out of the car.
It was self-defense.
Yeah, well, or like she demanded to get out of the car and I left her there and then someone else must have come and strangled her, right? So at this point, the police are thinking she's dead, but we have to cover all bases because we're not going to let this guy get away. So they're going through and they're collecting all of this evidence. With Gabby's death confirmed, the attention now turns to Brian Laundrie, who's disappeared.
Conveniently.
In a strategic move, the police, they issued a federal arrest warrant for Brian Laundrie not on behalf of like suspicion of homicide, but on bank fraud. They found that Brian Laundrie had used Gabby's credit card and took out $1,000. So they now issued this warrant. So if they see him, they can take him, but they're taking him on bank fraud. However, oh gosh, Emmy, here we go. You have your mezcal with you?
Actually, I need a refill.
Go get a mezcal. Go on.
Okay, refill. 1 minute later.
Next time I'll do mezcal too.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Wait, but it's like 9 in the morning for you.
When has that ever stopped me?
True.
So this is what you need the mezcal for. On October 20th, Brian's parents contacted the FBI and they said, we, along with you, would like to go search this very specific area of the reserve to look for Brian. They led detectives to a very specific trail where they hiked for about an hour. And there, in this 24,000 acre reserve that you absolutely did not just guess the trail he was on, there, on the very specific trail they chose to walk, they found Brian's skeletal remains. Dental records confirm his identity, and he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, bringing a tragic end to the search.
Motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
What the fuck?
But
and
get
like
this.
the family took the FBI to the remains?
So what does that tell you?
I mean, the family were complicit 100%.
100%.
Like,
So-
but how fucked up it is that, like, you know, your son is gonna commit suicide.
Yeah. So if I had to guess, I think they all sat in Brian's living room. And I think they all sat around and had a very somber moment where Brian was like, I killed her. And my options are I'm going to be spending the rest of my life in jail, or I'm sure he made up some sob story about like, I want to spend the rest of my life with Gabby in heaven. So I'm going to go kill myself. And I bet you they all chose the place. I bet you they all chose like, okay, we're going to wait a week and then we'll come up that path and we'll find you.
How is this not a movie yet?
Oh, no, don't worry.
Is it-
There's a really bad Lifetime movie about this. Well, we'll watch it when you come here. Let's watch it together and we're going to live react to it. Isn't that a fun one?
Oh, yeah. You know I love bad movies.
Okay. Grab your mezcal, Em.
Oh, wait, there's more?
Take a sip. Grab your mezcal. No charges were filed against Brian's parents.
Wait, but I mean,
This is
I mean,
so messed
I mean,
up.
I feel bad for them because, I mean, it's not like they
Correct.
committed the murder.
Correct.
But still,
Correct.
this is a really fucked up story.
They were put into a really hard position. And if my child came home, I couldn't promise you that I wouldn't do the same for my kid. So
Same.
just
Honestly, same.
I'm just gonna sweep over this one.
I mean, except for like the letting him hike somewhere and just kill themselves part.
But maybe they came to peace with it. You know? Life is just life. Maybe they just came to peace with it and they said, we'll see you in the next life. You know, if this is all just a simulation, nothing matters.
Okay, we're getting very deep.
I'm kidding. I don't 100% believe that, but it's a fun theory to think about. Anyways,
We're getting too existential.
okay, yeah, we are. Let's get back to it. So on October 20th, 2021, the search for Brian Laundrie came to a grim conclusion. Deep within the dense and treacherous Carlton Reserve in Florida, authorities made a shocking discovery. In an area that had previously been submerged underwater, they found skeletal remains alongside a backpack, a dry bag, and most importantly, a notebook. These belongings were confirmed to be Brian Laundrie's. The scene was haunting. The skeletal remains had been exposed to the elements and scavenging wildlife, so it was pretty picked apart and decomposed. And while the body wasn't yet identifiable for sure, they could surmise by the clues around and by Brian's parents leading them there that this was Brian Laundrie's body. And yes, later, dental records did confirm that this was him. As investigators carefully examined the area, they uncovered clues that pointed to the cause of death. Near the body, they found a revolver, like a gun. This gun was found near the body, suggesting that Brian had killed himself through a gunshot wound. Suicide. The most intriguing discovery, however, was the notebook found beside him. Despite being water damaged, the notebook actually contained very legible pages. And on those pages, a confession. Brian's confession to killing his fiancée, Gabby Petito. Want to travel with us? Every summer, Amelia and I take small groups of women away from the daily stressors of life in what we call river therapy. Imagine whitewater rafting in the most stunning locations across the USA, completely off the grid for up to 5 days, designed specifically for women who need a soul reset. Bring your stresses, anxieties, and fears. Bring your dreams, wishes, and goals. And join us for river therapy. Go to alexa-west.com and click on Glow Up Travel to join our next trip. You would think having Brian Laundrie's notebook, his confession, would bring a sense of closure to this case. But I'm going to just tell you and warn you right now, it doesn't. I have only seen snippets of what he said in like the headlines. I haven't actually done a deep dive into this. So, Emmy, we are going to do a deep dive of his bullshit together. Okay, let's read through this confession. In his journal, Brian says things like, Gabby, I wish I was right at your side. I wish I could be talking to you right now. Getting so excited for our future. But we lost our future. I can't live without you. I lost every day we could have spent together. So he's like doing this woe is me, right? And then he says, if you were reading Gabby's journal, looking at photos of our life together, flipping through old cards, you wouldn't want to live a day without her. So he's writing now to the general public. If you're reading Gabby's journal.
This is a suicide note.
It is a suicide note. Here is what he says happened, okay? He says, rushing back to our car, trying to cross a stream before it got too dark, too cold. I hear a splash and a scream. I could barely see. I couldn't find her for a moment. I shouted her name. I found her breathing heavily, gasping. She was freezing cold. The temperature had dropped to freezing, and she was soaking wet. I carried her for as far as I could from the stream towards the car, stumbling, exhausted, in shock. And I knew that I couldn't safely carry her more. I started a fire and spooned her as close to the heat as I could. She was so thin and had been freezing for too long. It's like, wait, just take her into the car, turn on the car, turn the heat on, put her under blankets. What? He's like, then I started a fire. Oh, from where I started the fire, I had no idea how far the car might be. Okay, so he wasn't to the car yet. So instead, he like laid her down on the ground and spooned her. When I pulled Gabby out of the water, he said, she couldn't tell me what hurt. She had a small bump on her forehead that got larger. Her feet hurt, her wrist hurt. She was freezing, shaking violently. While carrying her, she constantly made sounds of pain, begging for her end to her pain.
This is A, very confusing. B, complete bullshit. Like what is this whole like Romeo and Juliet bullshit?
Yeah. If she, you would find a solution. Like, you guys are not in the real middle of nowhere. You know, you're still in a national park. You haven't gone out in one way, driving one way for like 5 days or something. You're not out of reach to people. Okay. You need gas. I know you're not. So this is what this pendejo says. I don't know the extent of Gabby's injuries, only that she was in extreme pain. He doesn't know the extent of her injuries, yet then he says, I ended her life. I thought it was merciful. That is what she wanted. But I see now all the mistakes I made. I panicked. I was in shock. But from the moment I decided to take her pain away, I knew I couldn't go on without her. So let me get this straight from Brian. Oh, me and my fiance were out on a hike. She fell. She's hurt. I decided to kill her. That's what she would have wanted.
And so then I decided to go home and go on a camping trip with my family.
But he does say in his suicide note, I rushed home to spend any time I had left with my family. I wanted to drive north and let James or TJ kill me, which I assume is her like dad's. But I wouldn't want them to spend time in jail over my mistake, even though I'm sure they would have liked to. I'm ending my life not because of fear of punishment, but rather I can't stand to live another day without her. Please do not make life harder for my family. They've lost a son and a daughter. The most wonderful girl in the world, Gabby. He says, I have killed myself by this creek in the hopes that animals may tear me apart, that it may make some of her family happy.
Oh my God, the last line. Please pick up all of my things. Gabby hated people who litter. This is ridiculous.
Okay. Now we know that Brian did it. We already knew that he did it, but now he's admitted to it. But we do not believe that story, right? His story about her falling and stuff.
Oh, absolutely not.
Me either. So let's do it. You want to do it?
Let's do it.
It's time to figure out what the hell happened. What do you think? Do you have any thoughts right away?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Tell me.
I think that Gabby had another mental health crisis, but possibly this time their arguing went a little too far and Brian really lost it. So he strangled her. Because choking usually happens within a confrontation scenario, you know?
You're face to face.
Yeah, and you need a lot of physical proximity to strangulate someone. And usually that indicates emotion.
Yep.
A crime of passion, I guess?
Correct. 100% crime of passion.
I don't think it was very premeditated. I think it was a very in the heat of the moment thing, but everything he did afterwards is so weird and so sketchy that I do think he has mental issues himself. I do think he's somewhat of a narcissist or he has some degree of psychopathy.
That suicide note.
Yeah, exactly. The suicide note, it's so so manipulative.
It was so manipulative. It's like, bro, you just killed someone. You don't need to work on making us like you. You don't need to try and be likable in your writing. You just killed someone.
So yeah, I think maybe he was gaslighting her. I feel like her craziness was because of his craziness.
I agree. I think about this kind of stuff. What if we take that person and put them with another person? Who would they be? If we picked Gabby up and we put her in a relationship with someone that was all about positive affirmations and therapy and mental health, that would affect Gabby. But then if you pick Gabby up and you put her with someone that's toxic, then she feels like she's crazy and she behaves that way because he's pushing her to. She's young. I get the sense that she is a very sweet, malleable girl. She's still a girl, not yet a girl. No, wait, just a girl, not yet a woman. That one? That's how I feel about Gabby. I agree with you. I agree. But wait, let's go back to the night that it happened or the day that it happened. So I think that they reunited the next morning. They had a moment of, I'm so sorry. But I think that there was still embarrassment and fear and resentment and anger. And I think that was boiling. And I agree with you. I think another fight happened. However, that day that they saw the van, that the Bethunes saw the van on August 27th, I believe that Gabby had been killed by August 25th or August 24th before her last posts and calls. Do we think that he killed her in the van and then just drove around with her body until he could put her somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he killed her maybe one night when no one was looking.
Yeah.
And like you said, the almost arrest happened. And from there, just things were boiling all the way up to a boiling point where he probably lost it, strangled her. And then he was probably, fuck, what did I do? And what do I do now? So he was probably driving around, trying to find the right time and place to dispose of the body.
I know this sounds absolutely crazy and morbid, but if he is such a kind-hearted person, like he says, and it's all about mercy, why wouldn't he, if Gabby's body's in the van, why wouldn't he just drive the van home, give the body to the family, turn himself in immediately, and just say, I'm so sorry? It's the disposing of the body that makes me think that maybe he had thought about this before.
I think if he had really thought about it, he would have done things better afterwards. I mean, not better morally, but in a smarter way that would have not ended up with him killing himself.
Right.
Everything he did afterwards was such a mess.
You're right. No, you're right.
The hiding, the suicide note, the
Instagram post of her.
The Instagram post.
Of
Come
her
on, the Halloween
photo. And it's a Halloween photo from last year, too. That's why it's weird.
Mm-hmm. However, there's a part of my brain that is entertaining the idea that he isn't actually dead.
Do tell.
I don't know. I think he's possibly hiding somewhere in the world. Maybe he crossed over to Mexico and from there he just escaped. His suicide note, and I'm like doing air quotes when I say suicide, feels so narcissistic to me. And narcissists do not feel guilt or empathy towards victims. So it doesn't really make sense to me that...
But they said they found his remains.
What if they're fake? What if the family was so involved? What if the family planted DNA?
My God. And the family planted DNA and then they helped him escape to like Mexico? Wait. Okay, wait. You know how they only found his teeth? Because they said the body was exposed to the elements and animals ate it and stuff. What if his family helped him escape and then they took some of his teeth because they said he was only identifiable by dental records, and then they put some of his real teeth there, and investigators find the teeth and they're like, yep, this checks out, you know? What if the police and the FBI... Listen, the FBI do crazy things all the time. Example 1, police are legally allowed to lie to us. We are not legally allowed to lie to the police. So don't really ever take things at face value. But this FBI case was so huge. The media was so huge that maybe they found these stupid planted remains from Brian's family, who wasn't going to be on trial anyways for leniency for showing them where Brian was. But maybe the FBI was like, yeah, this is total bullshit, but hey guys, this will close the case at least.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, what if Brian went and killed someone else and then used that body to hide his body?
Oh, that's huge.
We need to write this book.
So yeah, in my brain, Brian is somewhere in a tropical island sipping a beer or a margarita.
Listening to this podcast.
Being like, oh shit, someone found me.
So there's been something that came out actually last month on June 11th. The FBI, they released more than 350 pages of documents that talk about the case. And in the case, they find Gabby's journal. There's pieces of Gabby's journal. And here is kind of the big thing that she wrote that makes people kind of get a better insight into their relationship. She's writing in her journal, but she's kind of addressing him. She says, just please stop crying and calling me names because we're a team and I'm here with you. So I've been thinking about that over and over again. So she's saying to him, please stop crying. So clearly he's in an emotional state. Who knows, why? It doesn't matter. I just know that in this relationship, it put Brian into a not healthy place. And even if he was in a non-healthy place before, it wasn't helping him. And then Gabby's saying, and stop calling me names. So clearly then he is attacking her. So he's crying, he's attacking her. And she's trying to say, we're a team. So I think that's the biggest thing that has stood out in these, is that it just was a toxic relationship through and through. And that brings us to our travel lesson of the day. And in my book, The One-Way Ticket Plan, Find and Fund Your Purpose While Traveling the World, you can get that in the show notes. I have a travel lesson that is travel will make or break your friendship and your relationship. Travel will make or break your relationship because travel, it brings out the best and the worst in people.
Yeah, honestly, if you want to be sure, if you want to be with someone, go and travel with them. Because you kind of put yourself to the limit, there's stress, you get hungry, you get lost. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really frustrating situations sometimes. So it really shows people true colors, I think.
Yeah. And they had taken road trips together before, but they had never lived together in a space while trying to start a business. It can get very stressful. It is not what you see on Instagram. It's not just dreamy and frolicking. It is problems you've never faced before. And it kind of feels like you're isolated from everyone and everything. You don't have your regular coping mechanisms. A relationship like this that's already toxic is only going to get more toxic.
And add to that they were living in such a small space.
And in a messy one.
And the messy one.
I know you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead. But I want to be honest here that this was a toxic relationship on both sides. Gabby physically assaulted Brian, and it wasn't, just to get him off of her or to defend herself. She hit him because she was frustrated. However, all things can be true at the same time. That Gabby was a victim and that Brian was a victim, although Brian was also a monster. No mentally healthy person would think, if I'm in a bad relationship, I'm going to drive my girlfriend into the middle of nowhere and kill her. The one string that changes this whole thing from just a simple toxic relationship to an equation for
a true crime episode.
For a true crime episode, yes.
Also, don't get engaged at 21.
Don't get engaged at 21. Don't do it. So, it was insane and also beautiful how many people were there for Gabby. However, the thing that we can't ignore is that Gabby, this case got so much attention, I think, because of social media, unfolding on social media. But also, it got a lot of attention because Gabby is an adorable, petite, blonde, young woman. And Gabby's father came out and he talks about missing white woman syndrome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I've never heard of it, but makes sense.
And Gabby's father, he doesn't like this missing white woman syndrome. So now he's dedicating his efforts to getting more attention for missing Black women. So
I love this.
I do too. So Gabby's parents, Nicole Schmidt and Joe Petito, as well as their spouses, Jim and Tara, they've continued to support survivors of domestic violence. And they have become completely dedicated to the Gabby Petito Foundation. And I want to leave us with this. At Gabby's funeral, Gabby's father said, if there's a trip you want to take it now while you've got time. He knows that this trip of Gabby's, he knows that it wasn't the adventure that killed Gabby. It was the person. And the most dangerous people in your life are the people you know. In a lot of cases that Amelia and I do on True Crime Travelers, it's people that have killed someone, it's someone that they already knew. In a lot of cases, I think probably we're probably going to get to like 50% is like that, if not more.
I would say like 70 or 75.
Yeah, you're right. And so her father followed with that. And he said, if you're in a relationship that might not be the best thing for you, leave it now. So we want to say thank you for listening to today's episode. And if you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. You can always call them for the littlest thing or the biggest thing. You are never, ever alone. You never have to stay in a relationship that isn't healthy for you.
Never, ever, ever. Where are we going next week?
We are going to India, and we are going to cover a case of a mother with 9 children that goes to India. And it is jaw-dropping.
My jaw is ready to be dropped.
Okay, True Crime Travelers, we love you. Remember, safety is sexy.
Travel safe.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast delves into true crime cases, and we want to remind our listeners that all individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty. The opinions expressed here are solely those of myself and Amelia. We strive to research thoroughly and provide accurate and up-to-date information, but please be aware that some details may evolve over time. We encourage you to do your own research and verify the information presented. Thanks for listening.